built on relationships, focused on people, and rooted in the community. Welcome to the Build Blue Podcast. Tune in for weekly episodes featuring guests who are building a better tomorrow. You'll hear inspiring stories from industry leaders, business owners, community partners, and our team members. The Build Blue Podcast, where construction comes to life. An Apex Construction Group production. Welcome to the Build Blue Podcast. My name is Jess Place with Apex Construction Group, and we are joined. This is our very first podcast where we have had 3 guests in the studio at once, so I'm super excited for today. We have the gang from Beans Coffee, small batch, locally roasted coffee. I'm going to let you guys introduce yourselves. You can each share a little bit about your background, and then we're going to get into the episode. So if you want to start, Clay, that would be awesome.
All right. Well, my name is Clay Sharkey, one of the original founders, but now just one of 4 owners today. And yeah, Beans Coffee is a small roaster that we've kind of grown from literally the ground up. And kind of my background, more on the finance. I actually work at a bank here in town. But what I like to say is that, I got the banking thing, but then I got the side interesting job that people usually want to talk about in the coffee roasting. So,
absolutely. I'm Eric Poppler. I also work at a bank, but we don't talk shop. We actually talk about fun things. With coffee, it's been fun. We found the passion about 10, 12 years ago, and
something like
kind of ran with it, starting from a popcorn popper to where we are now. So
we're going to get more into that coming up. John, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Sure, I'm John, and I had a background in business development stuff that kind of plays into a lot of this, but I just happened to know Eric at the right time of life to be able to have an opportunity to fall into the beans business and kind of run more or less the day-to-day stuff in the shop now. So it's...
And he never worked at a bank.
No, I have not worked at a bank. I did apply at one of the larger ones, but they did not think I had the skills of a teller, mainly math skills.
I was a teller in high school and college, so you were the odd man out on the banking side, but that is where my financial prowess ends.
But I can BS with the best of them, so I'm practically a loan officer.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I feel kind of dumb because I get my full name, whereas you just introduce yourself as John on the shared category of just the first names.
One gots to have some anonymity.
Everybody knows
Deniability. They don't know who I am yet.
We start all of our episodes of the Apex podcast with an icebreaker, so I have to ask each of you, if you could open and run any business, what would it be?
All right, well, this is going to sound like a dumb thing, but I think actually running a coffee shop would be a lot of fun. Yeah, I figured there's kind of a little bit slaying into it a bit, but I don't know, it's just, so we have a coffee trailer that we do at the farmers markets and different places around town, and it's just always a lot of fun. You have people come up, they enjoy getting the coffee, get to know them, they really get a kick out of it if you know what their go-to drink is, and I don't know, it just makes a fun time to spend, so I do that.
I love, you knew my husband's coffee order from the farmer's market when you sat down. I was impressed by that. So, what about you, Eric?
Mine's kind of the same cop out, but it's
Nerds.
Cooler than that. When I was in Florida, I went to this place that's a coffee shop in the morning and then a wine cafe in the afternoon and evening. I know nothing about wine. I like drinking it, but I think that'd be really cool. So it's kind of the same feel, same atmosphere. You just dim the lights in the evening, and you can still sell coffee if you want to stay up all night. But I think it'd be really cool to do that. Otherwise, my backup is to own a Ninja Warrior gym. That'd be cool. Yeah, just in case that doesn't work out.
That's the safety plan.
I have no real, skills or anything, but we watch American Ninja Warrior and it's fun.
We do too, and they make it look so easy.
I know, right?
I'm like, I could totally do that.
My daughter just broke her arm trying, so.
Oh no, poor thing. All right, John, we know this is going to be good.
Yeah, probably. Well, there's 2 routes you can go. You can work really hard, or you can take the path of least resistance. Path of least resistance, you take a page from Lucy of the Peanuts comic strip, and you offer advice for 5 cents where you don't really care. You just tell them what to do. I could do that all day. I'm going to do it all day anyway. But if you're going to try really hard, maybe something to do with aerospace and airplanes. I think it'd be kind of fun to be involved in that realm. But so far, I'm only qualified to probably crash one or fall out of one accidentally. So that's why it's a fantasy game here.
There we go.
It absolutely is. I love it. So let's talk about Beans Coffee. You guys alluded to this in your introduction. And the humble beginnings in the garage with the popcorn popper, and what inspired that in the first place?
So it actually started when, after my wife and I had gotten married, we went and took a honeymoon out to Glacier. And when we were there, we took a tour of a roasting facility. And there's two kind of main ways that you can roast coffee. There's a drum roaster, which is kind of like the machines you normally see at like a Dunn Brothers. And then there's what's called a fluid bed roaster, which roasts with hot air. This factory was a fluid bed roasting place, so that hot air. And so we went and took the tour, and the guy got all the way done explaining this extremely complicated process. And he said, but if you really think about it, it's kind of just like a really big hot popcorn popper. And so then that sparked kind of thinking about that a little bit. So on the way home, we're Googling it and found out you can actually roast coffee in a air popcorn maker. And having that we had just gotten married, we had two of everything. So had the one. Watch the YouTube video because the popcorn popper will work, but you have to take that little safety mechanism that prevents it from overheating. You got to take that out, and then it gets hot enough for roasting. So that's kind of where it started.
That voids the warranty.
Yeah, it's.
I was like a 30-year-old popcorn popper, so I think you're okay.
Yeah, well, and it shows its wear too, because after using it a few times, it kind of sags a little bit to one side where it kind of melted. Yeah. So at the beginning, we could not say that our coffee may have been BPA free, but it is today.
Right.
Yeah. I don't use any plastic in there today.
Yeah, not
stainless steel and heat.
Yeah, it's just how we were just messing with that for the longest time in our garage, and my sister wanted to buy a bag from us for Christmas for a friend, and both Clay and I were like deer in headlights, like okay, because you can do about a half a cup at a time.
And a lot of stuff we found out is a lot of like, yes, we can do that. Oh crap, how are we gonna do that?
What can we put a bag in there? So we like stole a bag from Hy-Vee where you can put the your own beans there. And so printed the label off.
Yeah, so Cameron's Coffee donated our first coffee bag. We went and that little self-grinding station in Hy-Vee. We went and may have swiped one of those and put a label over top of it.
Just market research.
Yeah, exactly. But a lot of it was kind of just like, oh crap, we need that. We had the coffee, we could roast it. Like you said, we could do it in like little half-cup batches at a time. But then it was, how do we package it? How do we whatever it? Then the thing we weren't thinking of was we had done a lot of our roasting with the popcorn popper during the summer outside. Not thinking about the fact that now it's December and the air in the garage is a whole lot colder, and that little popcorn popper can't quite heat everything up.
Yep.
So they need to get to be like the air need to get to like 600-700 degrees.
Yep. And so then we ended up having to go and put a couple space heaters on either side of our popcorn popper to preheat the air that would then go in the popcorn popper to then roast it. And we ended up blowing the circuits through the whole garage complex.
Yeah, it was an apartment complex, so we blew like 9 different apartment or garages, their circuits. So we moved it inside, and then we looked like a meth lab because we had the windows open. Because
not much difference at this point.
Yeah. There was this smoke coming out.
We really sound professional, though.
We set off smoke detectors because we didn't think that through. So we had to open up windows. We couldn't find a way how to pull the detector off, so we put plastic wrap around it and tied it with headphones to try and keep the smoke away from it.
Yeah, that was the most profitable $10 bag of coffee we've ever sold.
Only took 4.5 hours to do.
Yep.
It was probably disgusting.
And began a glorious career of interacting with the Mankato Fire Department.
There we go.
Do they know you guys by name? You don't have to answer that.
They know us outside.
Yeah, they do. What's even more skill is we don't have any open flame in our roasters at all. It's all like a heating element from like a washer and dryer, like a dryer unit. So it takes more skill to have the fire department come when there's no fire.
I think part of it is, I think they think it's kind of cool.
Oh, because like come by their location now just to drink coffee.
When they come by, it's a big crowd. It's a lot bigger than if they had just a normal call. I think they take the opportunity to go check out the coffee roasters.
My favorite was we had to show the new guy, daily stuff. I'm like, okay, so you brought him by the beans area to have some coffee. Okay, yeah, that's part of training, I guess. That's cool. We're a stop. We're a destination.
Right.
This is where the newbies come.
So what was the process from the popcorn popper to now? Like that in between time?
So we did the popcorn popper and we realized we're not going to make any money on it. It was just a hobby at that point.
Yeah, we did that for like literally one bag sale.
Right. And then messing around. But then we found online somebody that had a gas grill. It took all the innards out of it and made it a coffee roaster. So they put a drum inside there that could do about 6 pounds and bolted one of those homemade ice cream maker motors on the side to spin it. Then you just turn it on and let the coffee spin in there and heat up. And Yeah, we started doing that, and then at that point, Clay bought a house, so we were able to burn his garage down at that point inside his house.
Are you guys married at this point?
Yeah,
Yes, but not to each other.
Correct,
Let's go
yes,
with
we're
that.
not.
A lot of these stories can overlap and
Right.
sound that way.
I know.
Nope, I have my own wife and kids. He's got his own wife and kids.
So are your wives like active in this process? Are they like rolling their eyes from the house?
At this point in the story, they're rolling their eyes and just
Okay.
watching from the outside
and keeping a fire extinguisher close.
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're more involved now than they were then. But at that point, it was kind of just more of the
Just look at them.
something like that.
Yeah.
Look at them. How ridiculous.
Shaking their heads. So now we have a gas grill converted to a coffee roaster. How much more can you roast at this point?
So before in the popcorn popper, we were doing like a half a cup of beans at a time. Now we can do 6 pounds. So it was a big jump, and that's actually when we first started doing the farmers market and selling stuff through there too. And from there, we just kind of built a little bit of a following through the farmers market. We had our online site where we did local deliveries and everything too. And that's when then Hy-Vee approached us. So the Hy-Vee approached us and said like, hey, we'd like to go and have you in the store. So we said yes, and I was like, oh crap, how do we do that?
Right. We're really good at saying yes and figuring it out later.
Yeah, and so then, the big hurdle that we had to get over was now we actually had to be like legit. And so, a ventilation system, a fire extinguisher, all of those things. And so then we got into our own dedicated space that was actually a commercial space, so out of the garage, so less eye rolling from the wives.
Into a creepy basement.
Yep, into a very creepy basement. We had kind of 3 requirements. It had to be cheap, off the beaten path, and what was the third one? Ugly.
Ugly.
We got ugly.
Definitely ugly.
Yeah, we got ugly and cheap, but we were right on Madison Avenue.
Yeah, which actually worked out
Yeah,
just
but
fine.
we were underground, so that's kind of off the beat.
Yeah, so we were
have
under
to descend
that,
into
Which is where we really got
the
to know the fire department, because we had ventilation going through the roof and the smoke coming through, so they kept on thinking that place was on fire.
It was just a vent. It wasn't an actual dedicated chimney. So anybody walking by, it looks like there's a fire in an attic.
Yep.
Right. So we actually were on a
Just making
list.
coffee.
We were on a list for the fire department saying, "Don't come unless it's going to burn down, because we know that what they're doing in there." But prior to, we were in the
Unless it's
garage.
gonna burn.
I feel like we should have had a member of the fire department here too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, just to
From the beginning.
corroborate.
Yeah.
Yep, that's about how I remember it.
But what the big thing was, from the garage to the dedicated roasters, we were under cottage food laws where we had to physically hand anybody their coffee beforehand. So we could do online sales, but we had to drop it off at the door, drop it off to them. We could do farmers markets, we could physically hand to them. But if we were in Hy-Vee, we couldn't do that anymore. So we needed more,
Wholesale license.
right
Mhm.
regulations. So that was a nice big jump in there. So we were able to do that. And what's cool about both the Hy-Vees in town is they're very into they have the ability to purchase locally, whereas some of the large, like a Target, you have to go through corporate, different
Yeah.
things like that. Here, they make the choices themselves, and they've been great supporters of us and getting prime shelf location, and it's been really cool.
That is super cool.
And so then at that point we actually had some different commercial roaster, and then as kind of quantities expanded, we upgraded from what was a 6-pound commercial roaster into a 9-pounder. And then from there now we're up to 3 9-pound roasters that we run currently.
And we're not in the basement anymore.
And we're not in the basement
Yeah.
anymore.
And these are actual roasters.
Yep, these are commercial grade
We
coffee
even have a
roasters.
loading dock now. It's fantastic.
Yeah, all right. Or
You only
good.
made it when trucks back up.
Yeah, because it was
That's
real.
big time.
It was a pain in the butt because so coffee comes in like
150
burlap sacks, like 150 pounds, and there's 1,700 pounds of coffee on a pallet, and we used to have to then one by one drag them down into our basement location.
It looked super creepy, mom.
Very sketchy looking. Yeah, and then but the bad part is it's like as you're pulling things down the stairs in your mind, you're thinking all I'm gonna do is gonna carry all of them right back up once we go and get them roasted. So.
At least we were going down the stairs though with the burlap. So
Yeah, but guys, your calves look great while we were in that place
Thank
with
you.
all the stairs.
Something like
And when you roast coffee, it does lose about 20% of its weight. So we got that going for
Well,
us.
that's interesting.
Yeah, so there's
Fun
moisture in
fact.
there, and then when it roasts, yeah, lose about 20%. So.
How many bad cups of coffee did you guys have to
No, we don't
drink?
want to talk about that.
I like to say that they're always all good because we're really good at what we do, but
No.
all reality is no.
Especially when we tried our cold press, we tried like several different ways. We wanted to get the right flavor, and boy, we found some bad ones there.
Yeah.
It's really good now, though.
Cold brew is the hardest one.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, it goes in line a lot with other culinary stuff where you start to learn like what spices and flavors go with what other things. So after a certain point, you're familiar enough to go, this bean has this characteristic, I bet it would blend with this, and this is usually the temperature range that it fits well with. So pair these together, you get more of a 50-50. Oh, this one's not so great, but hey, that one was surprisingly good. And you just keep working with it there. But early on, when you have no idea what any particular varietal turns out to be, like, okay, let's pretend that never happened.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and having the nice machinery to do it helps a lot.
Consistent.
Yeah, consistency. Before we did it by just by ear when we were doing it in like our converted grill, because coffee beans, they pop like popcorn. So once it gets to about 390, 400 degrees, it starts popping, and that's first crack, and that's the light roast. Right around there's light roast, a little bit farther, and then it does a second crack at about 440, 450 degrees. And that's usually medium roast. Anything past that's more of a darker roast. Well, when we didn't have thermometer gauges and iPads to keep track of this, we're sitting there like, was that first crack or second crack? We'll wait a little bit. Like, we're not hearing anything. Oh, quick, we better dump it. And then it was just never overly consistent. We just, I mean, there's a little bit of the novelty behind it. It's like, yeah, it sucks, but it's, we made it out of our garage.
But it's our suck.
Yeah.
We made that. Actually, if you roast it too fast, it will turn into popcorn, like the actual kernels. It looks pretty much the same, but it tastes
like?
Yeah, I don't need it.
It tastes similar, but like burnt coffee too. So it's like this is
unique.
You
That's a
would
nice
not want to.
Sure, yeah, unique, yeah. We got a lot of unique
theater
flavors.
and give me the coffee popcorn instead of the regular. That'd be good. No.
So what kept you guys going through all of these trials and learning and tasting the bad stuff?
Fear.
Yeah,
Fear somebody wouldn't like it.
I really don't know, because it's like, it never really felt like we were, because each of us had our own outside jobs and stuff. So this was totally
The fun hobby.
a fun hobby side thing, doing it with your friends. And so then, like, it never felt like, all right, obviously guns against, you're under the gun to get something done. So I guess I never really felt that part. It just kind of let it grow. As long as you put out something, quality after doing all the suckiness that we already did, people will gravitate towards it. And
Well, when I read that question, my first thought was, and this is gonna sound super cheesy, but like how Mankato is so local proud, and like everybody kept on saying how supportive they are of us right from the beginning. Even when we probably made a bad cup of coffee, like they drink it like, this is great, I'll drink it from you just because it's local. And they, we started making, we thought very good coffee, and that's what I thought was the hugest inspiration for us, was like, people love it, and they're cool, like, for supporting us. Like, they'll go out of their way to say, hey, have you heard about them? Let's try this out. And so like, how can we get this to more people? How can we, there's a huge difference between, like a bag of Starbucks coffee that's been sitting on the shelf for 6 months, that was roasted 6 months prior to that, to we roasted this yesterday. Like, it's a huge difference. We wanted to, that's our whole goal from the beginning, was like, try and get people to really taste the difference. And it's been kind of fun to do that.
Have you guys always been coffee lovers?
I started drinking coffee when I was 14. So,
Okay.
yeah.
I'd say me, no. I drink it out of necessity in like college and stuff, but never like enjoyed coffee. It's just more of a needed to be able to work through the classwork.
I was always intrigued by it. My grandparents, that was their thing, coffee in the morning, and everybody's around for the holidays, and my grandpa would always say, if you drink coffee, it'll stunt your growth. And I think I had my first cup around 10, and I think, well, if I hadn't done that, I'd be about 7 feet tall today.
I was gonna say, it must be why I'm only 5'11", because I drink coffee so young.
But I don't know, I think it's something you grow into. Like, my first coffee pot, my sister gave me for Christmas, freshman year of college, and I had that thing until well after college, using the same one over and over, and that thing lasted longer than anyone I've had since. So, yeah, you're a coffee lover if that thing runs all day, every day.
Well, and coffee lover is such a huge spectrum. Like, I've drank black coffee for years, and I always made fun of him because when we're talking, like, he's half the company, and he at the time, and he only drinks with cream and sugar. So cream and sugar kind of makes them all taste a lot the same. So we're like, everybody drinks, as long as you drink coffee, you can have tons of different ways to do it.
Yeah, and that's been one thing that's been interesting, just seeing like we started having like samplings at the at different places or at the farmers market, and you definitely develop a bit of a thicker skin on hearing people's critiques of stuff, right? Because like I remember to begin with when somebody like people would say like, no, I don't like it. Like you take that personally.
I remember the guy that took the drink and just went,
Yeah, and just dump it
dumped it
out.
right in front of me. Like, okay, so
Yeah,
you
it's
did
like,
care
okay.
for that.
Yeah,
one.
living-
That more or less
living on
happened
it.
on Saturday.
Yeah, and so
I didn't
like
care for any of those, and then they bought a bag of basically the same stuff, and I'm like, all right, well, you get what you want.
yeah, and so then
Great day. Sounds
Like,
good.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry you hated the stuff that I like. I hope you like that one.
yeah, but yeah, but you do develop a bit of a thicker skin to kind of just, and a lot of it's just appreciation of everybody's taste buds are different, and what one person absolutely loves, another person doesn't, and so.
Right.
What we really
They're
realize is that there we go. I was like, you were incorrect.
Yeah, try again.
But what we really realize is that a lot of it is like, all right, cool, let's try this next one. And then we can usually go and find one that people, really do enjoy. But and that's one thing with just having like a business is you do get that bit of a self-conscious part of putting yourself out there, right? Because you are creating something that you think is cool, you think is good. You're putting out the world hoping that somebody else thinks your baby's cute as well. Luckily for us, people have largely said it's a cute baby.
Well,
But
luckily for us, we live in Minnesota, where like
yeah, it's true. They're never gonna tell us.
Yeah, they try coffee like it could be worse.
Yeah,
Oh,
probably too
thanks.
honest.
Yeah.
You should move to Iowa.
Yeah, unique. Yeah, exactly.
I think the kid looks like you, Eric. I'll give you that.
Spitting image.
Yeah.
So you are classified as a small batch roaster. Am I saying that right?
Right. Yep.
So what sets a small batch roaster apart from you referenced Starbucks, so we'll use that as an example.
The size of the batch. Sorry, I had to work that.
We should have just we should have just stopped right there. Just like you just
I had that twinkle in my eye as soon as I heard the beginning of the question.
Next question.
Sorry, I'll let someone who's qualified and dignified answer that.
Well, I always think of it as like other than the smart aleck response, like think of like a Bud Light compared to a craft like Mankato brewery, like that idea. Like you're getting the quality, the craft, and everything. Like a small batch, we do 9 pounds per batch, and so we can see the quality. Like if anything's wrong, John's constantly keeping an eye on everything, make sure everything's consistent. Whereas you get even Cameron's coffee, they're larger. They have gigantic batches that just get rolled out, and then
It's automated.
Yeah, automated, and then they get packaged, and they sit there for a long time. There's a lot more care in every single step with us.
Yeah, and a lot of it is kind of like what you mentioned too, is that being a small batch, the time difference between how long it takes from the coffee coming out of the roaster for us to be, basically brewed in somebody's cup at their home is really short. Versus like the larger ones that are going through distribution centers, through warehousing, through grocery store shelves, and you don't really know how long it's been there. So that small batch really is conducive to being able to narrow that time frame as best as possible, because coffee's flavor does degrade basically as soon as it gets done roasting. It peaks basically 1 day post roasting, and then it degrades from that point. So the faster you can get it to the hands of that eventual consumer, the better.
And that date stamp that we put on the back, one of the three of us is manually applying that date stamp as we're packaging it. So it's not just something that's a mass-produced item. One of us bent an elbow. So it's, I like the craft element of that, how you say that, yeah, because it's a labor of skill, but it's not just something that you roll out industrial.
Right.
We want it to be something that we have turnkey control over, so it doesn't come in and leave without heavy involvement from the eyes of ownership. So it's
right. So
it's not farmed out labor that to somebody who doesn't care about it. It's somebody it's our baby. If that makes sense. We can have 3 daddies.
Let's talk about that.
Go downhill.
All right, what's the next question?
So did you guys always have this vision when you were on YouTube converting the grill that you would eventually like to bring this small batch coffee to the community in the way that you have?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool to say like, oh yeah, we had this like 5-year plan and this vision thing.
But no, I'd say it's more of kind of like, let's have fun with it, see where it goes.
Yeah, but that's cool too.
Yeah, and a lot of it is just figure it out, and a lot of the people are really good about bringing their ideas to you as well. of like people would say like, oh, when we go and have coffee tasting at the farmers market, oh, it'd be really cool if you can have a espresso machine. And now we have a coffee trailer because people were really interested in it.
Or somebody was just over there and they said, man, I have chai latte with raspberry. That sounds great. Like, have you guys ever thought of that? And now it's one of our drinks that we sell.
Yep. Yeah, and so, and what we've done a lot of this stuff organically. Just starting small, figure out how to do things and kind of work your way up. Because like from me and Eric were the first two that started it. And at that time, Eric had more of an interest on like the coffee shop side of it. I had more of the interest on the coffee roasting side. But where we were at in life, just with each of us having young families and obligations there, obviously the coffee shop has a lot more during the day requirements than what
brick and mortar.
Yeah, brick and mortar, higher upfront cost. You got you can't just do it on the side. And so that's why we actually started with the roasting first. Was the roasting was something that we could go and accomplish nights and weekends, keep the day job, lower that risk, let it grow, and keep it going from there.
And that's actually, talking about that, that's kind of why we hired John to begin with, because when we were doing our this was just Clay and me, we were roasting before work every Wednesday morning. It'd start getting like 5 in the morning, 4 in the morning, and it was great, and all the new business we were getting. But then when I got to the point where it's like
your sleep schedule on the roasting schedule.
Right, we do the roast schedule then, and it always tells us what time you have to be there to be ready to be at work at 8. And then when it started saying like hashtag number, like there was an error because it went before midnight.
Oh.
We're like, okay, we can't do this anymore. We need to get somebody. And then when getting John on board was probably the best thing. I'm not gonna say it's his face, but one of the best things we've ever done.
I can still see you. Well, this question actually reminds me of a moment with Clay when we moved into our current location last fall. We were learning how all these new machines work. That was like, okay, we're going off on a completely new tangent. And he just kind of sat there, kind of marveling for a minute, and he goes, it's really crazy to think like this is an idea that started in the garage, and it's just grown into its own thing. And like watching something come from nothing to this level, and now here we are almost a year after that. Like, well, what's the next big thing? Because there are designs, but just the concept of it's not something we are forcing into a particular threshold that we want to fit. It's, as you say, organically morphing into this much larger entity that's just kind of fun to go, okay, I'm along for the ride, and that's pretty much the whole thing of it.
It was funny, like we mentioning that people would always, especially a couple of years back, be like, you guys are just like that Angie story, like just starting from nothing and get somewhere. Like for the longest time, we're like, well, we're comparative to Angie's because we both started from nothing. Angie's was like here, we're about here. Like, I sure love to go down that path, but let's pump the brakes. But no, as you said, getting in there, it's really cool to see like from where we were to where we are now.
Yeah,
Craft
absolutely.
approach will make that a slower, more methodical probably step, but it'll be purposeful while it's happening, which will make it much more enjoyable, I think, for everybody, because it's not just a giant leap. It's going to have to be small and incremental, and eventually these guys will wise up, quit their jobs, and come work with me. There you go.
So you guys mentioned Hy-Vee, the farmers market. Let's talk about where else people can get their hands on this small batch coffee.
All right. Well, we.
Should we do it by city?
Yeah, I don't know. Let's maybe focus on Mankato to begin with, I guess.
Yeah.
So we do have so we had actually built a coffee trailer last week. So that one we do have open Monday to Friday, where people can go and stop through.
And where is
So if you know it's 127 Lamb Street,
Which nobody's ever heard of.
which is basically straight out the front doors of the Children's Museum.
Yeah.
So we are there basically Monday to Fridays in the mornings for people to come and get whatever drinks or coffee that they want. Otherwise, Hy-Vee's.
Yeah, both Hy-Vee's in town here. NutriGrounds Coffee Shop, they serve our coffee exclusively. They've been a great partner. Wooden Spoon.
Drummers.
Yeah. Mom and Pops.
Livaveda.
The break room at Shields serves our coffee there.
That's fun.
Up at Krusty's.
Yep, Krusty's.
Cool.
Wow.
And then
Probably about 8 churches around town. Each of the breweries will usually feature some coffee beers of ours. So Locale and Mankato Brewery.
and then outside of town we got Cooks and Company in St. Peter.
A few more, three more Hy-Vee's outside of Mankato.
Yep. Owatonna, Faribault, and Lakeville, Rosemont. It's right on the border of those towns. And Waseca, we've got Four Seasons Athletics, and I almost said neutral grounds again. The bar on Main. And hopefully beyond will be.
And then just right outside the window, Pub 500 also does.
Oh yeah, see, I knew we were gonna forget somebody. I forgot now.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of ones that we have forgotten, but and then one thing that people will start seeing our stuff around town here more too is what we went and teamed up with Hermel, a Hermel company, to provide the coffee that they sell through their business to a lot of offices and places. So there's a bunch of other places that will be serving our coffee that we don't even know about, right? That are Hermel customers that'll have our coffee there too.
Yeah, I was just talking to somebody he runs the Fitness for 10. He's like, I am so excited. We're with Hermel and now we're taking Beans coffee. This is so, like, they used to,
I love those shout outs.
Right, yeah, saying anything to the quality of Hermel before, but he's like, now we get excited to make the pot of coffee every morning and we make so much more. It's like, oh, that's great. So,
That's a bit more, a better welcome than Folgers.
yeah, I'd say.
And I would say, no offense to Folgers, but like all the events.
Right, yeah, low bar to jump.
The best part of waking up is Beans coffee.
Yeah, that jingle works great.
Yeah, right.
You guys have a fundraising program that I would like to talk a little bit about as well, because you are all local, your business is local, so I think this is a really cool way that you're giving back to. So let's talk about whoever wants to tackle it.
Yeah, well, this was actually one that, again, was an idea that a customer came to us with.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't claim to have thought of it. Somebody brought it up to us and we were open to kind of try it. Because, I don't know, I got kids in school, so we go and have fundraising crap all the time. And it's a lot of stuff of just, like, oh, do I really need that butter braid? Do I really want that magazine?
Or yeah, say magazines.
Yeah.
And so
Right, exactly. And so then it's kind of, it almost gets to the point of like, can I just donate $20? I don't really want the magazine.
Right.
And so, but what it really came from there was that somebody approached us and said like, hey, have you ever considered? And then we started really thinking about it and thinking like, well, gosh, coffee would be actually a great fundraising project or fundraising item for people because it's something that people already buy. So it's not like you're gonna like, all right, come get this magazine that you didn't want. Right. Come get this butter braid that you don't need. Hey, everybody's drinking coffee on a daily basis anyways. That way that person can go and support the cause because partial of the proceeds goes back to whatever fundraiser they're raising it for. And for them, it's basically, doing a purchase that they would have otherwise done. They get to help that cause. And for us, it's, additional exposure to a group of people that we otherwise wouldn't have.
Yeah, we hope that they remain longtime customers then. It's been really good. It's been every year, like we've been doing this for about 3 years now, but kind of quietly. Now we've been really promoting it more. And every year if somebody comes back to do like an annual fundraiser, it's always been more than they did the prior year.
Yeah.
So it's cool. It's just the Dance Conservatory, for instance, started with like, they ordered 50 bags the first time, and now they're up to like 250 bags.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it definitely beats butter braids.
Right. Or how many
they go together. Maybe we should collude with them.
There you go.
There you go.
If you need your own butter braid.
Yeah, let's stick with our lane.
I mean, I don't mind working in the kitchen. I can come up with something, coffee flavored. No.
So what are the big dreams, the goals, the visions for the future? You guys kind of already touched on this, like letting things unfold organically. Any other big things in the future for Beans?
It almost harkens back to some meetings we had before moving into the new space. The question came up, how do you know you've made it as a company? What's your benchmark? And everybody gave a completely different answer. So I think some of those answers are kind of visions for the future, like at least I know personally for me. I like the concept of what can we do with Beans as a vehicle that's not just, hey, we're producing margins that are what we want. Okay, well, what do we want to do with that? And knowing, like we had the frontline worker event, a couple of years ago, there were a lot of frontline people that didn't get the recognition that some of the more glamorous jobs did, like child care centers and stuff like that. So maybe it'd be fun to work in that arena of more philanthropical tasks, or not tasks, but projects to be able to benefit more people, particularly in my mind, segments of the economy that are generally just overlooked, and see if we can't be a benefit to somebody else. Like if you're dropping your kid off at daycare, or you're dealing with kids all day at the daycare, maybe a little non-decaffeinated coffee would be something that would brighten your day a little bit more or get you started right, and it's just something you don't have to think about. But little things that would maybe grow us as people as much as a company.
Absolutely. That's a much better answer than mine was going to be. I just,
I was thinking back to our original vision, like, gosh, we
Build
didn't
a
have
coffee
one then.
I mean, I just to touch
there's
on
also
something
the brick and mortar element.
Right, yeah,
It'd
that's
be
what
awesome to have
saying.
coffee shops, but that was your vision before I came on board.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's any way to really support the local area that's really supported us, but specifically like the idea of, we like the idea of the brick and mortar at some point, and it's been closer than ever it has before. Having a coffee shop, we want to do it right. We want to make sure that's not just thrown together or that we aren't in over our heads. So we want to pick the right location and how to go about that. So I'd say that would be the natural progression next step. But
to be fair, we do our best work when we're in over our heads. The sure, we can do that attitude really produces results.
Yeah,
because we have to.
Because and it's like I remember what John referenced that conversation we had, like, how do you know you made it? And and that's same thing. Like, there won't ever be that like point of just like, all right, yep, there we are. The thing that like I always just appreciate when going around town is you kind of feel like you made it a little bit at least when you can go and put out something that just people by and large think is novel and just cool and interesting, and being able to go and have people identify you with that thing out in the community. Because there's been a lot of times where I've been going in some place, either at the grocery store or whatever, and people will say like, hey, are you that Beans Coffee guy? Which is just, it's like, holy crap, people actually know about us.
Right.
Yes.
When in the beginning,
That's ironic. I dress like this in Beans gear like 5 days a week or 6 days a week, really, and I've never had that happen.
Do you work
for them? Are you
not
connected to
approachable,
Beans?
that's why.
Yeah, I do have a scary face.
No, that's a good point too. Like in the beginning, for so many years, they'll always be like, "Oh, you're Mankato? How long have you been here for? 8 years." So yeah, just people being able to talk about like, "Oh, you guys are that trailer down there? Oh, I have had that at Neutral Grounds." Or it's cool to have kind of that connection too.
Now it's morphed more into, oh yeah, I think I saw your trailer in Riverfront or something the other day. Figured I should stop in eventually. And I'm like, well, please do. We'd love to see you.
Yeah, because that's the thing that like we have the biggest room to go and grow is. We're starting to have people realize that we exist, but there's a huge potential there too, because there's a lot of people, it's a lot of conversations still of like, oh, I didn't realize Mankato had a roaster. Oh, I didn't realize that this, or I didn't realize that, whatever.
And that's why we appreciate you having us on the podcast, so you can reach even more people that don't know that we exist.
Yeah.
Well, it's been great talking to you guys. Let's give people details like websites, socials, things like that.
So we do a subscription program through our website. I was going to touch on that, www.coffeebybeans.com. So you can order by the bag there, or as I said, we set up this where you can set up where weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, every 8 weeks, whatever you want, where we deliver coffee straight to your door. We call it the milkman approach, where we, it was, as I
Amazing.
said, like everybody, like John will roast it. And then we divide the town in half, and we will physically bring it to your door and drop it off. So we have tons of customers that do that, and they love it. So got that. Otherwise, the retail locations in town, we have that.
Yep, and they've all been great to us. So any way we can support them is ultimately good for us too.
Absolutely. And then as you had touched on the fundraising, we love to talk with people about that to see what we can do to help you guys grow. And yeah, did I miss anything?
I don't think so. Just our delivery area seems to be expanding here and there. Like I live in Waseca, so I do some of the delivery in that area too, if they're not like in the next town but have the same address. But Janesville again, that's on the way home, so we can do more of the milkman approach, than we could before.
And we do offer free shipping for any order over $30 too.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Well, cool.
Yeah, the farthest one, oh god, where was it?
Hawaii?
No, the past was
No, it was Shanghai.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was
Shanghai's
China.
the farthest
Yep.
that it's gone. We've gone to Shanghai, we've gone to
But yeah,
Germany.
we have somebody that has a subscription of coffee to Hawaii though. Like
Really?
the Kona coffee that's in Hawaii is not good. It's our coffee that's
It's
better.
really expensive even in Hawaii.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, every few weeks we ship it off there. So
That's super cool. Well, it's been exciting to watch you guys grow, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the future holds for your business and for all of you. So thanks again for coming on the podcast. Is there anything else you guys would like to add before we wrap up?
Oh, I wasn't prepared for that question.
I think
I always throw that in at the
Yeah.
end, so.
Nope.
both ways before crossing the street, and always be polite.
Wait, you gotta do the sign off of like, what was it, Price is Right? Gotta remember to have all your pets
That's
spayed and neutered.
standard. And I think this is where she regrets asking us this question.
No, this is where she goes and says like, yeah, that part of what editing, yeah, we are gonna do that. Yeah.
The Oscar.
Normally don't have to.
I like that.
Well, I'm glad you were able to take out all the swear words.
Yes, thank you for keeping those to a minimum. This has been the Apex Build Blue podcast. My name is Jess Blaze, and we'll see you next week.